So where do I even begin? Hi, I'm Leo. No, not the king of the jungle yet, more like the clown of the grassland. You've probably seen majestic pictures of lions hunting gazelles in slow motion, muscles shining, manes flying. Yeah, that's not me. My first hunt was, how should I put it, a total disaster. If my life were a movie, it would have been directed by the guy who made all the funniest fails on YouTube. When I was a cub, I used to think hunting was easy. You just roar, chase, and eat, right? Wrong. My mom made it look like a walk in the park, or rather, a sprint in the Savanna. But when I hit that awkward semi-adult stage, she and my aunts kicked me out. Apparently, that's what lions do. Family love? Gone. They literally smacked me in the face and said, "Go find your own pride." I thought they meant, "Go find pride in yourself." Turns out they meant, "Get lost before you eat all the food, you oversized furball." So there I was, alone, confused, and slightly chubby, standing in the middle of the Savanna with a tail shorter than my dreams. Day one of independence, and I was already hungry. I looked around and saw some zebras. Perfect, I thought. Dinner. I crouched like I'd seen my mom do, butt wiggling, eyes locked, wind in my mane. I pounced and tripped over a rock, flat on my face. The zebras saw me, laughed, yes, laughed, and ran away. One even kicked dust in my direction like, "Nice try, rookie." Day two, I decided to try again, but this time I thought I'd start small. Let's hunt something my size, I told myself. That's when I saw it, a baby warthog. It looked easy. I crept closer, tongue out, ready to pounce. Suddenly, bam! The baby's mom came charging like a truck with horns. I screamed so loud even the vultures flew away. She chased me for what felt like miles. I learned that day, warthogs don't forgive. They also don't forget. Every time I walk near that area now, she just stares at me like, "You again?" After that humiliation, I was starving. I hadn't eaten in 3 days, and my stomach was making noises louder than my roar. Then I saw something that looked edible, a lizard. I lunged, missed, and face-planted again. The lizard looked back, shook its tiny head, and walked away. Even a lizard disrespected me. Later that day, I saw a group of humans camping nearby. They had meat, cooked meat. The smell was heavenly. I tiptoed. Yes, lions can tiptoe, closer. But before I could grab anything, a tiny creature barked at me. A small brown dog. I laughed at first. "You think you can scare me?" I said. But then that demon jumped straight at my nose. I ran for my life. That tiny dog chased me across the whole Savanna. I still have a scar on my tail to prove it. I can't even see a dog bone anymore without getting flashbacks. That night, I tried drinking from a small waterhole to calm down. But guess what? It wasn't a waterhole. It was a human-made well. And I fell in. The moment I splashed, I realized I had officially reached rock bottom. Literally. I screamed for help, but only frogs answered me. I spent half the night trying to climb out. When I finally escaped, I was soaking wet, covered in mud, and smelled like a wet carpet. I thought, this must be what rock stars feel like after a concert. The next morning, my mane was sticking in every direction. Birds were laughing at me from the trees. A monkey even threw a banana peel and shouted, "Nice hair, shampoo ad!" I was too tired to fight back. So I just sat there thinking about my life choices. Then came the big day, my first official hunt. I decided, no more mistakes, Leo. You're a king, not a clown. I found a herd of antelopes grazing peacefully. This was my chance. I crouched low, careful not to make a sound. My heart was pounding. "This is it," I whispered. I charged. The ground thundered under my paws. The antelopes ran. I was closing in until I realized I was chasing a baby elephant. I hit the brakes, but it was too late. Its mother turned around and trumpeted so loud my ears rang for 2 days. She chased me all the way into a bush where a porcupine was hiding. Yup, I sat on it. Pain level, 10,000. Dignity, gone. My butt looked like a cactus for weeks. At this point, the jungle had started calling me the unlucky lion. Even the hyenas stopped laughing at each other just to laugh at me. They followed me one day just to watch my next disaster. I decided to ignore them and focus on a new target, a lone gazelle drinking by the river. I took a deep breath. Focus, Leo. No mistakes. I pounced, slipped on a mud patch, flew straight into the river and hit a crocodile. The croc looked at me like, "Really, dude?" I screamed, jumped out, and ran so fast that even the cheetahs couldn't keep up. The hyenas almost died laughing. After that, I took a few days off hunting. I needed to heal my pride, both emotionally and physically. I started hanging out with a wise old tortoise named Z. He told me, Young lion, patience is key. Even the slow hunter can win if he learns from failure. That sounded deep. Until I realized he was just trying to eat the last mango under the tree before I got it. Anyway, after a few pep talks and mangoes, I decided to try again. I spent days practicing my pounce on grasshoppers and butterflies. When I finally felt ready, I spotted a young wildebeest drinking water. Perfect target. I crouched, stayed silent, waited for the right moment, and this time, I succeeded. I pounced beautifully. Except, it wasn't a wildebeest. It was a buffalo calf. And guess who showed up? Mama Buffalo. She smacked me so hard I saw stars. I flew through the air, landed in a bush, and rolled downhill into a puddle. Again. At this point, I was convinced the universe was trolling me. I tried sneaking up on birds, they pooped on me. I tried chasing monkeys, they threw fruits at me. Once I even chased a rabbit and got stuck in a log. The jungle was turning into my personal comedy show. One day, I was lying under a tree, sulking, when a lioness approached. She was beautiful. Golden fur, confident walk, eyes sharper than my claws. I tried to act cool. "Hey there," I said. She smiled and said, "You're the one they call the clumsy hunter, right?" My soul left my body. No, that's my cousin," I lied. She laughed so hard I wanted to bury myself in the dirt. But surprisingly, she said, "You're funny. I like that." That was the first time someone had ever said something nice to me since leaving my family. We started hunting together. She was fast, smart, and patient. I, on the other hand, tripped on vines and scared away prey. But she didn't yell at me. She just laughed. Once, I tried to sneak behind a gazelle, but sneezed, loudly. The gazelle ran, and she looked at me, giggling, "Bless you, mighty hunter." Somehow, her laughter made my heart race faster than any hunt. We spent weeks together. Slowly, I started improving. I learned to stay downwind, to move silently, and not to roar when excited. The first time I finally caught my prey, it wasn't graceful. I tripped at the end, but landed right on top of a bush bug. Still counts. She cheered, and I felt like the king of the world. But my proudest moment wasn't that hunt. It was the night we sat under the stars. She said, "You know, Leo, everyone in the jungle laughs at you because you never give up. You fall, fail, get hurt, but you always try again. That's real strength." I didn't know what to say. For once, I didn't make a joke. I just smiled. From that day on, I embraced my failures. I started calling myself the persistent prince. Sure, I still mess up, like the time I tried to show off by roaring and accidentally scared myself with the echo. But I've learned that even kings start as clumsy cubs. And every scar, every fall, every embarrassing moment, they're all part of becoming stronger. So if you ever see a lion with a weird walk, a patchy mane, and a suspiciously shiny tail, that's probably me, Leo. Still learning, still falling, still laughing. Because in the jungle, if you can't laugh at yourself, the monkeys will gladly do it for you. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.